Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and I have the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Gravestone Films, also the associate producer on an independent film that Gravestone Films came out with, Samhain. He also played Will in the movie. His name is Carl Miller. Hello, Carl. How are you doing?
Hey there. Why do I feel like we should have some wrestling intro music when you say those names?
I know, right? I just have that feeling. I know this is the first interview I believe I did it on. I kind of tested it with Tony, but I didn't go nearly as long doing the whole welcome thing. I like that from Busted Open. Thought it would be kind of cool.
So I like that.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions, about maybe 12 of them or so. The first one I have is, how did you first find out and then later get involved with Samhain?
Well, I've done some extra work, and that was kind of just something I like to do on the side, try and find little extra roles. And my buddy Charlie, who had done some stuff with me, he saw the posting on Facebook about auditions and et cetera, et cetera. So he told me about it. I was staying in the loop. But then apparently I had a chance to go cross country, help a friend move, so I wasn't able to be in town for the auditions. And I know you reached out to me, and I was a little apprehensive because I didn't feel like I fit any of the roles. But I remember asking you about, this might be going way back, but about behind the scenes stuff. But that's kind of how I kind of got involved with Samhain. It worked out that way.
Right.
Samhain, sorry.
I know. It was funny because I'll actually tell a little story first. When it was the executive team originally when Gravestone first started, well, back in June 23rd, 2018. And the executive team was me, Ben, and Scott Yagalinsky. And I said, and we were thinking of a first project we should do, and I'm like a title and everything. We had kind of a plot and everything, which was kind of similar to what we have here. But I'm like, we need to think of a title, and I came up with. I said, how about Samhain? And yeah, he goes, Sam what? I'm like, Samhain. He's like, do you mean Samhain? I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I think I mean Samhain. He's like, it's pronounced Samhain. I'm like, not in Halloween 1 and 2. He goes, watch Halloween 3, because Donald Pleasance doesn't know how to pronounce it. Halloween 3, they say it correctly. But yeah, so and then I asked you to be involved as, an associate producer, to help out on set and everything, and you were awesome to do that. And then I know I first offered you the role of Will. That was really the only character we needed to kind of get filled, and that role was it was like a curse for us. Every time we would cast somebody in that role and then they would drop out of doing it. It's like, why? It's such a small role. Why are you dropping it? And we ended up getting I don't know if you were trying to get out of it or you didn't want to do it at first, but it was like I know that you're like, how old is this character? He seems like he's supposed to be young, and and I'm like, well, maybe 30, my age or so, and you're like, all right, I mean, it's not that far from me, so we can make you look younger. So we got you to do the role of Will, and then obviously you also were the associate producer for the film. But so what? I guess what finally made you decide to accept the role of Will? What made you decide to accept the role? Let's put it that way.
Well, like I said, I only did a couple small extra roles.
Right.
Non-speaking. I have no problem taking direction, moving around, whatever. But when I read about Will, and I'm like, okay, that's a speaking role. I'm like, I don't know if I'm brave enough to attempt that. But then finally, I guess, got a little more confidence because I had been discussing with you about the script, and it felt like a really good team. So I'm like, you know what? Got to keep pushing myself. Let's do it.
Right.
And that's when I went for it.
Right, and it's funny because a lot of people, I think everybody on set didn't really have experience, whether it was acting or behind the scenes. And like you said, you were nervous about the speaking role. And then I know Crystal Kapuznik, she was our boom mic operator. She also voiced the role of Dr. Baker in a voiceover scene for the one phone answering message. And she said, I never thought in my wildest dreams I would even do a speaking role on camera, let alone do a boom mic operator. This is one thing I could knock off the bucket list. I'm like, you and all of us, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And it's a dream come true. Like we saw the premiere, we saw it on the big screen. It was really awesome. Like, it's going to be in a couple of theaters. We'll get into those areas at the end of the interview of where you could see it for those that want to see it. But just, I mean, in 3 months and a $0 budget, we made a full feature film, and not a lot of people can say that.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So, what was your most memorable moment while filming Samhain?
The most memorable one, and honestly, I've always thought back to.
So we do know you'll be making your directorial debut with Killer Party, and you're also writing that film. This is going to be the second full feature that Gravestone will have to offer. So can you tell us a bit about what Killer Party is going to be about?
Okay, well, I still got to say it's called Killer Party right now. I'm still kind of shooting out ideas. I'm not fully sure if the name fully fits what we're trying to achieve. I guess as we get closer to the final script, but um,
Hmm.
rough idea. I'm kind of basing it off of everything that's going on right now with the pandemic, um, but I'm making it on a little more of a horror sci-fi kind of end, where the virus that's going around is a lot more rough. It's a lot
Hmm.
more fatal, and the government is imposing a mandatory stay-at-home order where everything except for, hospitals, everyone has to be in their home, and a group of friends decide, hey, it's getting a little sketchy. This is getting scary. Let's take off. Let's get out of town. They decide to go to this spot they know about deep in the woods, and they're gonna have just an awesome weekend, party, camp, get away from it all until it's time to come out.
Hmm.
Well, little do they know, one of them is infected, and they don't even realize it, and chaos ensues. It starts showing symptoms, and without divulging, they're kind of stuck out there and have to survive and try and find their way out while dealing with their own conflicts,
Yeah.
man against man, woman against woman. And I don't want to spill too much after that, but it's
Yeah.
going pretty good.
Exciting. That's exciting though. So at the premiere, it was also announced that not only Killer Party was going to be in the works for us, but another film that is going to be filming after that is a sequel to Samhain titled Samhain: A Festival to Die For, and I'm going to be writing that one. Of course, you're going to direct it. So what would you like to see added into Samhain, A Festival to Die For, that might have been left out or neglected to include during the making of Samhain?
Well, the first thing, which it's not that you didn't have it in the script, it just somehow got left out, was more character development. I know there was some other characters you had kind of had more info about
Yeah.
originally, and some choices were made, and beyond our control, they were left out of the movie. So I think I would like to see more character development for some of our main characters, get to know them a little bit more.
All
We've
right.
got a kind of a taste in Samhain, but I think with this next part, how everything is just kind of going to unleash, secrets are going to unfold, um, and the deaths. I want to show more detailed, uh, edge of your seat kind of deaths,
Yep.
whether it be with the effects or even do old school like Friday the 13th cutaway scenes where then you know what's happening and you see the blood splattering against the wall, or just to kind of keep everyone even more on edge.
Right.
I say that's what I'd like to see us do differently for Samhain too.
Right. So what I can say is that I am starting to write the script and more focusing on getting Samhain, ready for an Amazon Prime streaming release and DVD and all that stuff. But I do have the storyboard all written up. I have some of the script written, and I can say a lot of the deaths are very graphic in this one. It's definitely going to make the original look very tame, which
Nice.
is exciting. Like there is a lot of graphic deaths in this, which is pretty cool.
And like we said, too, we learned a lot from making
Yes.
Samhain, whether it be just filming, scheduling, effects, scenes, and we're gonna bring on all the best crew that's gonna make the movie.
Yep.
And this one's gonna blow the other one out of the water. Samhain, I think was great for what we had to work with, the time and the ability.
And the
It came out
money.
great, and Samhain 2, Festival Die Force, is gonna even blow that out of the water.
Oh, I
People are
can't
gonna
wait.
love it.
I can't wait. So do you plan on show? I know you have a couple kids, so you plan on showing your kids the movie anytime?
Oh yeah, they'll watch it. Yeah,
Nice.
when I was a kid, I always loved horror. So
Yeah, I did too. I think the first movie I saw was Friday the 13th Part 7, and I believe I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I have a lot. I'm really close friends with a lot of horror actors and actresses, mainly from the Friday the 13th franchise, and one of them I'm really really close with is Lar Park Lincoln, and she played Tina Shepard, the lady with telekinesis in Part 7, and I'm really good friends with her, and she yelled at me because I watched the movie at like 6 or 7 years old, and she would never let her kids watch it until they were like 14, 15 years old.
I
But yeah,
when I was basically when I was a kid, and I'm talking young, I got to see Friday the 13th,
hmm
one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original.
Nice.
My stepdad's aunt would always let me borrow her VHS, so she had a huge horror collection. But funny story, when I was a kid, me and my friends, we would always play Friday the 13th.
Nice.
And it was just so fun. My one friend Jen, her older brother, would be Jason all the time, and we'd be hiding and trying not to get killed, and I'd always get killed. But I was terrified of Freddy. I was terrified.
Nice.
But my trick when you were little,
Yep.
you think, okay, you don't. What happens when you're scared of the killers in the movie? You get killed.
Right.
So Freddy comes to your dreams. So I'd always be like, yeah, Freddy, get him, Freddy. I'd be like Freddy's best friend. He's not gonna kill me if I'm his best friend. So I would always
Nice.
I'd always root for Freddy so that he wouldn't come kill me
Nice.
when I was like 7.
Nice. I have actually two funny stories of kind of scary when you're young, though. One of them is kind of scary when you're young. The other one is more of embarrassing. But I'll tell the scary one first. I know when I was younger, it was Friday the 13th. It was a thunderstorm outside, and it was night. And they had a Friday the 13th marathon on. And I was watching it, and my mom and dad were home, but they were in the bedroom and everything, and I was watching it in the living room. And this is when my parents actually liked horror movies, or they didn't mind me watching them, I should say. Yeah, I was watching Friday the 13th marathon, and right as Jason turned off the power in the movie, our power went out at the same exact time. I was freaking out so bad. I ran. I'm like, Daddy, 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 Daddy. He's like, what? What? What's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, Jason's here. He turned the power out.
That is funny.
I'm like, what are the freaking odds of that? Another one is funny that is kind of related to your story. Me and my cousin Derek always played Friday the 13th when we were younger. And one scene, like, I ended up getting killed, and I got like a knife in the back or something or other, and I fell down, and I fell on my back. And then he got like stabbed in the stomach or whatever, or it might have been the back. I don't remember, but he got stabbed and he fell right on top of me, like I was like leaning like horizontally, and he fell on top of me like sideways. And as he fell right on my stomach, I farted so loud.
Oh.
And we still talk about that all the time of how funny that was. Like, that is just a funny, memorable moment. And it was really, really great. Like, it really was a funny time. Like, it was just something we still talk about to this day. Like, do you remember when I knocked the fart out of you? And I'm like, yeah. Remember remember when you tackled Prince, who was my Nana's German Shepherd?
Well, another movie I really liked was Child's Play, and
Nice.
I got to listen to the podcast you have with Alex Vincent on.
Yeah.
He is awesome because even to this day he sounds very down to earth.
Yes.
He had his time in film. He's still producing music, and he's still looking forward to possible more film options.
Right.
I think he's great. Shout out to you, Alex Vincent. But when we were kids and Child's Play came out, my two best friends, my neighbors Andy and Lauren, had a My Buddy doll.
Ooh.
And to us it looked like Chucky back then. So what we would do, we would always hide the thing in random places in her room to scare the crap out of her.
Oh my God.
She'd open up her closet, and there'd be My Buddy, Chucky.
Nice. For those that actually did listen to the Alex Vincent interview, I know you said you listened to it. I told a story about how me and where I got my little cousin when she was like maybe 4 or 5 or something or other, and I told her, "Do you want to watch Toy Story?" And I
Yep,
sat her
yep.
down and we watched. I put on Chucky, and she could not sleep for a long time. I was all, and it was funny because karma got me. I got scared of it, and I was afraid of Chucky for years after that. Because I never saw the movie neither. I just knew it was a scary movie about a
Oh,
killer
okay.
doll. So I just told her it was Toy Story because I wanted to scare her. Well, it scared her, but it scared me too. Oh my god, I was terrified for every time I would go into frickin' Spencer's. I'd be seeing Chucky dolls screaming.
Yep.
Oh my god, that was horrifying. So
Well,
you go ahead.
I actually have a little twist because
Okay.
you're used to asking the questions, but I actually have a couple questions for you
Oh, okay.
that maybe your viewers or listeners would like to hear.
Okay.
So, can I ask you some?
Yeah, sure. Go
Just a
ahead.
couple. All right. So you do podcasts. You've written
Yep.
books. What made you decide to say, "Hey, I want to get into film"?
I've always wanted to get into film. Even as a kid, I always wanted to be a school teacher or an actor. The only reason why I didn't get into film, and the reason why I didn't go to college for film and television, and actually went to school for web development, which is totally different, was because I didn't want to move to LA because I was afraid of flying. I was afraid of earthquakes, and I just didn't want to move to LA. That was the main reason why I didn't like do that. But I always wanted to be an actor, and I figured. And then it was funny because when I got my first book written back in 2016, February 2016, it was the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book. Was the first one I wrote. And I was a guest on. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's late.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
you know me. I go to sleep early.
I know.
But my first book was out, and I was appearing on my 11th grade English high school English teacher's is type of is a movie review show as a guest to promote it. And it was called Klimchak's Killer Collection. His name is Charlie Rice, but his pen name was Chaz Klimchak.
Okay.
And after we did that and everything, he asked me. He said, like after we filmed it and everything, I was like all fascinated by it and everything. I'm like, I always wanted to go into acting and filmmaking. I never did it because I didn't want to move to LA. He's like, well, I own Trash TV Streaming. I don't know where. I think he got the name because like everything on TV is trash or something like that. I don't know. But he's like, let's go. He said, I own the company Trash TV Streaming, and it films right in here. And we do movie reviews and all that stuff. And eventually, we'd like to go into movies and that. So, long story short, he asked me if I wanted to join. So that's where ended up meeting Ben Craig, which eventually with Scott Yagalinsky, we got into Gravestone. But then we end up having I got Scott Yagalinsky to work with Mr. Rice too, and I filmed about five or six of the episodes, like all the Once Upon a Time seasons. I filmed of my reviews.
Okay.
I was able to branch them out into a full season after I ended up leaving there because me and Mr. Rice or Mr. Klimchak, whatever you want to call him, ended up getting on a major disagreement because we were filming in his attic studio. It was the middle of the summer. It was like 200 degrees out, and the freaking curtains wouldn't stay up with the sticky tape. So he made me go to buy more sticky tape at the dollar store. I did, and they were all sold out. And he had a freaking rant and a bitch moment, like bitching at me about you need to get these sticky tapes. We need to film this, yada yada yada. So I had enough of it and I quit. And then Yags is like, Scotty, he's like, why would you do that? You got us involved, now you're just bailing. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't handle his bipolar anymore or whatever. And he ended up. This is a long answer to a question, but anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
yeah, but anyways, he ended up treating Yags and Ben Craig the same way, and they ended up quitting. And then maybe I'd say 6 months later, well, no, about a year later, because it was a little less than a year, because it was the following June. This was in July or August, so it was the next June. I reached out to Yags and I reached out to Ben Craig, and I'm like, hey guys, what do you think about starting up our own little production company? We did, and Yags came up with the name of Gravestone Films for us. And then I registered it and things went from there. And I mean it was great. Like I mean everything happens for a reason. It's funny. Mr. Rice now lives in in Seattle, Washington, and there's like a gang that's going on over there that basically has some type of name similar to his that we like have an inside joke that like is he running this gang or whatever. But he ended up leaving Schuylkill County because he blames me, Yags, and Ben Craig for ruining his reputation.
Oh, that sounds like a scary movie plot line in the beginning.
I know. Almost even better yet, he's an English teacher. He was best friends with the German teacher, right? But here he had a major falling out with him in the middle of class during one of his classes. Like he started screaming at him in the middle of classes because they had differing political views and security had to escort him out. They had to give him a psych evaluation test. They gave him the test and he ended up failing or something. He ended up getting fired from his teaching job and he moved to Seattle. So yeah, it can make for a psychological thriller.
We'll put a pin in that one for a possible brainstorm session.
Exactly.
Okay. I only have a very small couple questions, so don't worry.
Okay.
But now I'm sure almost all of your interviews were great.
Yeah.
I've listened to quite a few of them, and they are enjoyable.
Yeah.
But out of all the interviews you've done, is there one specific interview or even a top three that you really enjoyed the most? Like, were there any guests that the interview really moved you, or you just felt like, wow, that was a great interview?
I'll answer this in two parts. One answer for each part. So the first part is favorite, best interview in terms of questions, in terms of their answers, in terms of how the flow of things went. And I would have to say Christine Elise, who played Kyle in Friday the 13th. I mean, not Friday the 13th, in Child's Play 2. She was really great. Everything really went well with that. And she actually is the reason why I got Alex Vincent, because they're really close friends. So it was really great to interview her. That was I really recommend listening to that interview. It was really good. She talked about like the puppeteering of Chucky and how everything was. It was just a great interview. In terms of childhood fan favorite and an interview that I was like very excited about, and an interview that I was like it was a dream come true, I would have to say Terry Kaiser. Which I'm a little upset that like the first maybe 2 or 3 minutes of the interview was like you can hear me but you can't hear him because it was my first interview with my new microphone and I didn't have the settings properly set. So like you can't hear his answers for the first 2 or 3 minutes, but then you can hear everything perfectly. But that was I've always loved Dr. Cruz in Friday the 13th Part 7. He also played Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's. And
that's right.
yes, and I always loved that. I love that interview. Like he went into details. I asked him if he had a stunt double for when he was getting ready to film his death scene, and Jason threw him back, and he's like, "No, they couldn't afford a death scene." He said, and they had like alligator and crocodile they had crocodile and rattlesnake wranglers because they were filming in the middle of a swamp, and they couldn't afford any other locations, and they couldn't afford stunt doubles to do all the scenes. So when he had to do that stunt scene and get thrown back, he fell right on top of a crocodile, and the wrangler had to help like get him.
Do we have any budget for rattlesnake wranglers for our movie?
I hope so.
Well, you messed up that interview with your microphones. Now it's my show. No. So you're a horror movie guy also.
Yes.
Think of all the death scenes in different movies that you might have seen.
Okay.
If you were to die in a horror movie, one, how would you want to be killed? And what way would you definitely not want to be killed?
Whew, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Let me think. How long?
I'm gonna tell you mine then too. That would just so we can even up with that one.
Okay. Let me think. That's a tough one. Oh my god. Actually, you know what? I would hate to die this way in real life, but it was actually a freaking badass death scene. I'm gonna actually pick the 2 answers for that one. And they're both from Friday the 13th, believe it or not. I mean, yeah, obviously you believe that's one of my favorite franchises. I would have to say the sleeping bag kill in Part 7. And
really?
Yeah, I love that scene. I love that death.
Oh my gosh, you're brutal.
I know. Oh, it gets even worse. I like the Jason X liquid nitrogen scene.
Oh, the face in the liquid nitrogen?
Yep, and then broken like glass on the countertop. I would love that to happen to me in a movie.
Be quick at least.
Yeah, I would love that to happen to me in a movie. And the sleeping bag would be cool too. What I would not want to happen to me, Let me think. I actually think in the reboot, 2009 Friday the 13th, I would not like to be hung, put in a sleeping bag, another sleeping bag, and hung over a campfire and basically get smoke inhalation and basically be toasted like a marshmallow over an open campfire.
Oh, I didn't think of that one. That's a good one. Yeah, burning. Yeah.
Yep. Like when you're in a fire, you die. When you're in a fire, you die, quickly because of smoke inhalation. Like you don't get burned really, but that scene, you're getting burned and you're suffocating. Like you're getting double dose.
Okay, well, for the way I would pick to die, would have to be pretty much any of like Jason's beheadings. Boom, nice, swift, quick. That's fine. Get me over with.
Yeah.
Way I would not want to die. Okay, pretty much any way in any of the movie Saw movies.
Yeah.
None of those, but they don't count. It would be, I'm pretty sure, it was Sleepaway Camp 2.
Okay.
Where Angela drowned the girl in the porta potty. She was trying to.
Oh yes, yep. That was part 2. Yep.
But also, I wouldn't want to be cooked either. But going on of what I was thinking, I would not want that death.
Oh, that's
disgusting.
That was disgusting, and you had like what were they, leeches or something going on her face? Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah, leeches and
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be able to deal with that. Yeah, that was I can't even I could barely clean a bathroom or let alone getting dunked in a porta potty that's dirty and leech infested. Oh yeah, good point.
Only 2 more questions.
Sounds good. 2 more questions,
I'm done. So you've been given an elephant. Okay.
Okay.
You can't give it away and you can't sell it. What would you do with it?
I'm confused.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
It's a random question. No right or wrong answer.
Oh. I was like, what?
The real final question was, you kind of dived into it a little bit, but this is something I'm personally curious about. I don't think I've ever asked you. But I know Samhain started originally as the web series, and the whole idea kind of didn't go that way, but the whole idea of father-turned-killer clown escaping, psychiatric treatment, returning to kill his family, that's pretty detailed of a storyline.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that idea? I mean, it might have been a couple of years, but that whole process, the whole idea of Relic, and I know how you got the name Relic.
Right.
But overall, that whole plot, like, what popped into your heads? Like, how did that come about?
So, when me, Yags, and Ben Craig were storyboarding, we came up with just, a killer clown, Halloween, Festival of Samhain type, and they said, Scotty, you're the writer, write a script. I'm like, okay. So I wrote a script. I just brainstormed a little bit, just thought of different plots, and I use things for inspiration. I don't steal content because I'm not a plagiarist and I don't want to get in trouble unless it's like a fan film where we can do it and put on YouTube or whatever. But I end up using Halloween as a reference because it's kind of similar, right? Like there's a lot of the movie. There's a lot of plot points and pinpoints from Halloween, the Halloween franchise, and not just the first one, but like various of them. But Halloween was my main source of like coming up with a main story because it really makes sense. Like if you look at Relic, he's wearing a Michael Myers jumpsuit. It's just not a trademarked one because he never wears green in the movies.
Well, yeah. Plus, also, having no budget, you kind of have to go with whatever.
Right.
You might have designed that totally different
if we had a budget. Originally, Relic was gonna wear a full flesh skin clown bodysuit.
Okay.
And it was like very thin and very clear. And originally Ben Craig was going to be the killer, not Brett. So imagine Ben Craig doing it or imagine Brett Harris doing it, wearing this like very clear bodysuit where you can basically see underneath it and through it. But the only thing covering his dingleberries is a big clown face.
Oh my gosh.
That was the original thing, and like during the interview with me, Yags, Shane, and Tyler on Tony's podcast, we really dived into that discussion. And Tony's like, because Tony was an executive later on as we started filming, him and Nikolai, and Tony's like, this isn't gonna happen. We're not putting Ben in this freaking suit. He said this might be a horror movie, but I will probably kill myself for real. But yeah, so that's kind of where I kind of just was a writer. Like you even like you're a really good friend of mine, and you told me about like you're honest with me. You're blunt, but you're not rude. You're honest.
Which
Because
is fun.
you want me to yeah, because you want me to succeed, obviously, and we want
Yeah.
each other to succeed. And one thing you tell me all the time about my script, especially with the short, and you noticed it in sound, is I don't dumb things down a bit. I give words that characters will never say. That is the writer in me, because as an author we are supposed
Exactly.
to use those type of words. So that's why they gave me the job to screenwrite it, because I'm an author and I knew what to do, and I used my my knowledge of being an author and being a storyteller to kind of come up with that. Now, yeah, I used Halloween as a background of it, but I mean, Michael Myers didn't escape the asylum to come after his daughter and estranged wife, and he didn't have a daughter and estranged wife. And like Michael, yeah, I mean, he came after a sister that wasn't found out till the sequel. But I mean, like even like there's a backstory of what happened to Relic on why he is Relic, but before he was Justin Freed. Why is he? Why did he turn into this clown? What happened in his childhood? What happened to his daughter? That kind of goes into the sequel. Like there's a bunch of different play
Yeah.
points that is very specific, that really you only think of when you're brainstorming and storytellers can really come up with.
And I could like watching that, I could see the reference and influence
Yeah.
Halloween had,
Yep.
but it's totally its own direction.
Yes.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? It's something
Yep.
totally different with how character development and plot and all that went.
Right.
So
Exactly.
definitely still original.
Exactly. I agree completely. Any more questions before I ask the last one?
Um, Before you ask the last one, because okay, because I'm a funny guy. I
Yep.
like to put bloopers in. I have one little quip, and then you can roll just to
Sounds
leave your
good.
listeners with this little humorous ditty. Okay,
Sounds
so
good.
listen closely. All right, so there's a new doctor, and he can't find a job in any hospital anywhere. So he opens a clinic and puts a sign outside that reads, "Get treatment for $20. If you're not cured, you get back $100." So there's this American lawyer, and he thinks, "Wow, this is a great opportunity to earn $100." He goes to the clinic. The lawyer says, "Hey, I lost my sense of taste." So the new doctor goes, "Hey, nurse, bring me medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in the patient's mouth." The lawyer's like, "Oh, this is kerosene." Doctor says, "Congrats, your sense of taste is restored. Now give me $20." So the lawyer goes back after a few days to recover his money. He's a little angry. Lawyer goes, "I've lost my memory and I can't remember anything." So the doctor says, "Hey, nurse, bring me medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in his mouth." Annoyed, the lawyer's like, "Yo, this is kerosene. You gave this to me last time for restoring my taste." Doctor says, "Congrats, you got your memory back. Give me $20." The fuming lawyer pays him, but then he comes back a week later, determined to get his $100 back. The lawyer says, "My eyesight has become very weak and I can't see at all." The doctor says, "Well, I don't have any medicine for that, so take this $100. The lawyer stares at the bill and he says, "But this is 20, not 100. Doctor says, "Congrats, your eyesight is restored. Give me $20." The end.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. I thought you were going to go in a different direction, be like, hey, and you were going to be like, hey, nurse, take off your top or something like that.
Oh no. Just a little funny.
That's funny. That's great. So last question.
What you got to do the final confrontation?
So the last question I got for you. Now I didn't write this one down. This one I came up with, earlier, and I couldn't find my pen, and I already had it printed out. So I have to think of a way to word this properly, but it shouldn't be that hard. But anyways, what horror movie or slasher film like kind of got you into being a horror fanatic? What started the whole like Carl Miller is a horror fan? You know, back when I guess when like what inspired you, I should say.
Well, I think as cliche as it is, we talked a little bit about it, but it would have to be Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole certain parts you know what's going to happen, but you still want to be scared.
Yeah.
You know, I just loved it
Yeah.
when I was younger. Like I said, we used to imitate the scenes and stuff as kids and just to have an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I saw those movies, I just wanted more and more. I mean,
Yeah.
you got Critters, you got Gremlins that are kind of comedy horror, Exorcist,
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love them. You know,
right.
Hellraiser, and it just kept flowing.
Yep.
That was the big one though.
Yeah.
That's movies of my time. You know, I was born in '81, so.
Right. Yeah, and I know that for example, at the Sound premiere, everybody knew. I'm not gonna say the scene or anything because I don't want to spoil it. But there's a certain scene when you know Relic's gonna be jumping out somewhere. You just know it. You know what scene I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
you know it, and I was watching it. When we were having the rap party. I seen Kyle jump out to that scene like that.
Okay.
So I knew that it was gonna be a scene because if he gets scared, I know everybody's gonna get scared because like he doesn't like horror movies. So anybody that's gonna be like in a theater, like they're gonna get scared by it. And I knew everybody knows that Relic's gonna jump out. You just don't know when and where and how. And then the scene gets closer, and you know that he's gonna jump out right there. The way he jumped out and the way it happened and the menacing version of it. I looked around once that scene was just about to happen around that whole theater, and the entire theater just jumped at the same frickin' time, and I loved it.
I did good, obviously, because I was there with Brett Relic the whole time behind the scenes while he's making funny faces and dancing around. So I'm like, okay, I can't be scared of this guy. I want to say one last thing about Killer Party. I hope all your listeners keep up with Gravestone on Facebook, follow the updates, because like I said, all the horror movies I loved when I was a kid that I didn't like terrified me beyond belief, but I was scared. There was one. It was one of the Puppet Masters where the little drill head guy came up on the sky while he was sleeping and drilled into his skull. For some reason, 12 years old, that terrified me for months. And that's the effect I want Killer Party to have on the audience. Just that fear.
Nice. So anybody can go to our Facebook fan page, give us a like, give us a share, spread the word, www.facebook.com/gravestonefilms. You'll get updates on Samhain's release, and you'll get updates on Killer Party and when we start casting, and the same for Samhain, A Festival to Die For. And you can also like us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, I should say, at www.twitter.com/gravestonefilm, no S included. My lawyers are still working on getting those jackasses that stole our name and linked to our Facebook account on their page. So we're still working on getting them to shut them down. And also you can follow us on Instagram at Gravestone Films Prod. And also, just to let everybody know, Sound will be in select theaters. It'll be in the Majestic Theater on October 16th, 17th, 30th, and 31st, 2 Fridays, 2 Saturdays. 7 o'clock is when the movie is going to start. I would say get there by 6:15. If you're planning on going, tickets are available. You can go to Gravestone Films on Facebook, and we have an event page set up with the Majestic Theater in Pottsville where they will be where you'll be able to get your tickets through PayPal. Also, the plan currently is to be in Hazleton at the Cinema Draft House on October 19th. It's a Monday. Right now, it's kind of up in the air because of the pandemic and because they are a restaurant. Their seating is limited. Like, we're allowed to have 100 people in the Majestic, but for this place, they only have 50 seats because a lot of it is a restaurant as well with big tables in that. Inside their theaters, so they can only allow 25, and they don't think they're going to make enough money just with our movie or any movie for that matter to open the doors, because they're going to spend more money on electric and on operating the food and the snacks and everything and the projector and everything, that like they might not even get their money back. They might be at a loss for the movies when they reopen, so they're waiting until they don't have any limitations, but they'll keep me updated. So you could follow us on Facebook, and we'll give updates as they come along. Also, plan is for DVDs to be released on Amazon. We plan on that being October 23rd. And the same thing for you'll be able to stream it and buy it on Amazon Prime streaming on October 23rd. Those are the plans. Things can change depending on if Amazon gives us any hard times with cover art dimensions and captioning and all that stuff. And lastly, we are going to be at Creature Feature on October 17th. Some of the cast and crew are going to be at the Majestic that night. Some of the cast and crew are going to be at Creature Feature, which is going to be in Newville, Pennsylvania, at the Cumberland Drive-In. Come on by. We plan on selling some DVDs, some T-shirts. You can get pictures with the cast and crew, get some autographs, mingle with us, have a good time. There's other vendors. I'm sure they'll be showing some movies, stuff like that. And also on September, I believe it's the 26th, Carl? Or 27th? 26th? It's that Saturday. We're going to be in Frackville, Pennsylvania. I think the only ones planning to be there right now is me, Amanda, and Carl. I might see if Skylar wants to show up as well. But Skylar and Crystal, if they want to show up, if that would be nice if they could. But we're not going to get a lot of cast and crew available for that. But we're going to be in Frackville, Pennsylvania. I do not know the details right now of where things are at. Don't know if you can announce any of that, Carl. Do you know anything else more than I do?
Not yet. Amanda's getting the details, but if they stay tuned to the Gravestone Facebook,
Yeah.
definitely we'll have updates.
Yeah, we'll have it. We'll have it on there. The plan is we're just gonna sell some T-shirts. We're not gonna sell any DVDs that night, but we're gonna sell T-shirts. We're also gonna sell T-shirts at the Majestic Theater, but only on the 16th. That's the only date at the Majestic we're gonna sell T-shirts. So make sure you guys come on by, get your tickets, come by and get some merchandise, and meet the cast and crew. It'll be a great time. You do not want to miss Samhain in theaters. If you do miss it in theaters, or even if you do see it in theaters and you want to get a DVD, we have a buttload of extra features. We have bloopers, behind the scenes, a music video. We have behind the scenes Benji infomercial that we did, an insult battle. We have the premiere red carpet and opening and closing speeches. We have everything you can think of on there. It is going to be great. I can't wait for everybody's thoughts on this movie. We worked so hard on it, 3 months, no budget, and a great movie. So definitely want to come out and see that.
I forgot to add too.
Yes.
We're working on also. Is it Indiegogo? Trying to get together an Indiegogo campaign
Yes.
for Killer Party.
It is already done.
How I said before about until you're behind the scenes.
Yes.
You don't realize just how amazing it is to see how movies made. Well, we're gonna have some great perks and different things in our Indiegogo once it kind of goes live. So stay tuned for that too.
Yep, we have Indiegogo already finished. It's just not live yet. We will be posting on our Facebook page once it is live. We have a ton of perks that you all are going to love that aren't just get a DVD, get a merchandise, get a shirt, whatever, get a name in the credit. You can actually be on set helping out make this movie. So definitely get your perks when they go live. All right, I guess that covers everything. I thank you so much, Carl, for joining me. I know it was kind of like pulling teeth to get you on until you listened to some of my stuff. I know you wanted to wait a little closer to Killer Party, but I mean, we can have you on again to promote that once that comes out as well. I usually don't do double interviews, but for you, I'll do it.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I think that covers everything. I do thank you for your time. Thank you again, and I also want to thank you personally for everything you've done for Gravestone Films as COO, director, writer, whatever you have done for us. I truly appreciate it. It hasn't gone unnoticed.
It's great to be a part of this, and whoever out there is listening, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, and keep listening to Slasher Scotty for
Thank
great
you.
interviews.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great